Namaste and a very warm welcome back again to this course on Introduction to Indian Psychology. I sincerely hope that you've been able to listen to the previous lectures and that you're finding a certain resonance with what is being shared there. And I also hope that it is giving you an appreciation of the larger cultural context in which it has been spoken of on one side, but on the other side, you're able to recognize the universal application of these concepts. So while Varna might be a very Bharatiya way of looking at human nature and classifying them in the way that we have, we understand the temperament aspect of it, which is a universal phenomenon. So I think we've started this week looking at the Purusharthas, the Chaturashramas, concepts of rebirth within that, and then moving on to the concept of the Varna. These are the different classifications that help us understand or position our own life in the larger frameworks of the Bharatiya Jivana Drishti or the worldview. So in the same line as this, we are going to look at the qualities that we were invited to experience in order to lead more meaningful and more dharmic lives. So these are the context of Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat, the divine qualities and the qualities of the demons, or those qualities that tear us apart basically or don't allow us to be fully stable. So let's see what we have in store. The lecture today is going to be on the introduction to Dharma and the relationship with Daivi Sampat. Then we will introduce two distinct psychological types that are talked about, Dvau Bhuta Sargau. And following this, we look at the Daivi Sampat ideas in detailed breakdown of the 26 divine qualities. Following that, we look at the Asuri Sampat, which is an analysis of 6 demonic traits and consequences thereof. We'll then do a comparative psychology study with Western parallels and modern applications. And following that, the exercise that we always do, glossary and reference and food for thought. So this is one of the definitions of Dharma from the Vishnu Purana. So what does it say? It says, Kshama Satyam Damah Shaucham Danam Indriya Sanyamaha Ahimsa Guru Shushusha Tirthanusaranam Daya Arjavam Lobha Shunyatvam Deva Brahmana Pujanam Anabhyasuya Chatatha Dharma Samanya Uchyate. So what is Dharma? Generally, it means kshama or forgiveness, satyam or truth, damaha, self-control, shaucham, cleanliness in body and mind, danam, charity, indriya sanyamaha, controlling all the senses, ahimsa, non-violence, guru shushrusha, serving to the master, tirthanusaranam, pilgrimage, daya, compassion, kindness, arjavam, honesty, lobha shunyatvam. So in all these positive qualities, you also hear which is say lobha shunyatvam, an absence of freedom from avarice or greed. Then Deva Brahmana Pujanam, the worship of God and of the Brahmana, and Anabhya Suya, which is the state of being free of any envy. So this is a diagram here that has been done by my research scholar Piyush, whom if you've studied spoken Sanskrit, you would have seen him there. So he basically did his PhD on this subject of trying to understand what are the qualities that are associated with Dharma. And if you are understanding those qualities, we then see that these qualities are also interrelated with several other qualities, because when they talk of Dharma in the various verses that I showed you in the previous class, we see that they're not only talking of the same qualities all the time. For some people, Dharma might mean a practice of maybe Shanti, Tapa and Yajna. For someone else, it could be Dhriti, Damaha and Adroha. So it really depends on what resonated with the individuals to determine that this is what Dharma would signify. So in this context, as you can see here, it's very interesting, where he says that, he says here, if you can see the cursor a little bit, so he says that you've got qualities like, these are all different colors that are representing the different relationships. So for Dharma, you need Lobha Shunyatvam, like we saw. You have to have absence of greed. Now, lobha shunyatva is similar. It is the same sense as alobha. So, he's put a certain arrow which is indicating the sameness of their meaning. And then we see that alobha is the negative of lobha. So, lobha is greed, which is an asuri sampat. And the moment you say alobha, it is a negative of that. So, in this way, he's tried to make a map of dharma-centric value network. Okay. So, what are the two natures that are talked about here? These are the psychological dualism that we can refer to. It says, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha devo vistarashaha prokta asuram partha me shunu. So, he says that, I've spoken about the human nature is split into two distinct categories. There is daiva, the divine nature leading to evolution and freedom. Asura or asura, qualities. Asura is the person, asura is the qualities of asura. So, the demonic nature leading to degradation and bondage. We must analyze these to understand our own behavioral tendencies. All right. And if you remember when we were talking of the Vedas, we talked about these two forces that are at work. So, you've got the forces of the Devatas that are bringing in light and vastness and trying to take us towards them, trying to invite us to fight on their in their battle army. They're asking us to offer to them. And on the other side, you have the Dasyu and all of those forces that are basically trying to tear us apart, and they want us also to fight on their side, but for their victory, not for our victory. So these are the different kinds of conflicts and the different challenges that are there in determining who am I going to be, what are those qualities that I'm going to espouse in my life. So Daivi Sampat. There are several verses in the Gita in the 16th chapter, so I'm just going to read it out as it is written here. So, fearlessness, purity and knowledge. What does the verse say? Abhayam sattva sanshuddhir jnana yoga vyavasthitihi. Okay, so it says abhaya, the root virtue is freedom from all anxiety. Sattva samshuddhi, inner clarity, motives free from deception. Then jnana yoga vyavasthitihi, steadfast commitment to spiritual knowledge. These three form the foundation of liberated personality. Okay, so if you have these, then you are sorted. What's the next? Charity, control, sacrifice and study. Danam, damascha, yajnascha, swadhyayah, tapah, arjavam. So dana means selfless giving to the worthy. Dama means restraining the external sense organs. Yajna is actions dedicated to the higher good. Swadhyaya is the study of scriptures and self-analysis. Tapaha is disciplining the body and mind. And arjavam is alignment of thought, speech and action. Another word for integrity. Then we have non-violence, truth and renunciation. So ahimsa, satya, krodhas. Ahimsa, satyam, akrodha, tyagaha, shantir, apaishunam. What are those? So ahimsa, as we know, is not causing harm to any being. Satyam is speaking facts and are beneficial and pleasant. Akrodha means the remaining calm even when provoked. So krodha is anger. Akrodha is the ability to stay calm no matter what kind of provocation one is faced with. Tyaga, giving up the sense of doership and ownership. Shanti, deep mental tranquility, undisturbed by external events. Then apaishunam. Paishunam means the qualities of the pishacha, although they are the lower forces. So apaishunam means refraining from malicious gossip or fault finding. What more? They talk of compassion, gentleness and modesty. So daya bhuteshvaloluptvam mardavam hrir achapalam. So daya is empathy for the suffering of all creatures. Aloluptvam. Here mind is unaffected by sense objects. Mardavam, absence of harshness in interaction. Hri, modesty, healthy shame in doing wrong. Then achapalam, steadiness, freedom from fidgeting or useless movement. The last set here, we've got vigor, forgiveness and purity. So, tejaha kshama dhritihi shaucham adroho nati manita bhavanti sampadam daivim abhijatasya bharata. So, what is he saying? That dynamic spiritual energy and brilliance, tejas, kshama, patience and lack of resentment, dhriti, resilience in the face of adversity, shaucham, external hygiene and internal purity, adroha, absence of malice or hatred, nati manita, humility, not demanding respect. What are the asuri sampat? So we've got about 6 of them. So they say, dambho darpo bhimanascha, krodha parushyameva ajnanam chabhijatasya partha sampadam asurim. What are these? Dambha, pretending righteousness for fame. Darpa, pride in wealth or status. Abhimana, exaggerated self-worth. Krodha, hostility when desires are thwarted, or anger basically. Parushyam, cruelty in speech and behavior, insensitivity. Ajnana, inability to distinguish between right from wrong. All of these are the asuri sampats, and they're all very core traits. So with asuri nature, what happens? There's a loss of center, there's a godless worldview. So what does it say? Asatyam apratishtitam te jagadahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. What are they saying? They view the world as devoid of truth. Asatyam. They believe life has no moral basis. Apratishtitam. They deny a higher power of God. Anishwaram. They see life as merely biological, driven by lust. Okay, so this is kama haitukam. That's the word there. What more? What are the destructive actions that follows? They are the enemies of the world. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtat manolpabuddhayaha prabhavatyugra karmanaha kshayaya jagato hitaha. So what does it say? Holding this view, they are lost souls. Nashtat manaha. Next, they have small finite understanding. Alpa buddhayaha. They engage in cruel, terrible actions. Ugra karmanaha. They become enemies of the world, causing destruction. So, kshayaya jagataha ahitaha. What next? So, this asuri nature is also beset with anxiety and wealth, and they're caught up in the trap of accumulation. So, the verse from the Gita says, Chintam aparimeyancha pralayantam upashritaha kamopabhoga parama etavad iti nishchitaha asha pasha shatair baddhaha kama krodha parayanaha ihante kama bhogartham anyayenartha sanchayan. So what is this saying? It says, beset by immeasurable anxiety until death. Pralayantam aparimeyam chintam cha upashritaha. Then convinced that sense enjoyment is the highest goal. Kama bhogartham ihante. Bound by hundreds of hopes and expectations. Asha pasha shatair baddhaha. Then absorbed in lust and anger. Kama krodha parayanaha. And finally, they amass wealth unjustly for pleasure. Anyayen artha sanchayan kama bhogartham ihante. Now, what is very important to understand in these qualities that are described here is not just the outcome that has been given here, but what is worth thinking about is the attitude or the mindset that leads to these kind of behavioral patterns, because these are all behavioral patterns. These are all symptoms of certain thought processes. So, when we're looking at the Daivi Sampat and the Asuri Sampat, it would be extremely interesting to try and trace the processes that lead to these different kinds of outcomes, these behavioral outcomes. Another aspect about the Asuri nature is that it has a strong ego narrative. There is a delusion of power. It says, Idam adya maya labdham, imam prapsye manoratham, idam astidam api me bhavishyati punardhanam. So what are they saying? I have gained this today. I will satisfy this desire. Idam adya maya labdham. I have got this today. Imam prapsye manoratham. I will satisfy this desire. Then this wealth is mine. Idam asti. And more shall be mine. Idam api me bhavishyati. Then a psychology that is trapped in I and mine. So this is a constant calculation of future acquisitions. And I'll just make a connection with the Vedic idea here, because in the Vedas they talk of the dasyus, those forces that are busy tearing us apart. And there's one set of dasyus that have a specific name known as the panis. So the pani comes from the root pan, which means to bargain and barter. So there are those forces in our mentality, there are those cosmic forces who act through our mental functions to engage in this constant kind of a petty calculative mentality in every action that we are doing. So we see that this is a verse that is reflecting that same punny tendency, that if I do this, then what will I get? If this is mine, that is somebody else's. And just to share with you the very famous line which is associated with the Bharatiya civilization or the Indian culture, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, actually has this kind of an idea in the first line, where it says that Ayam nijaha paro veti ganana laghu chetasam. Ayam nijaha, this is mine. Paro veti, this is somebody else's. Who indulges in this kind of mentality? Ganana, this kind of a calculation is of laghu chetasam, people with small minds. The second line says, Udara charitanam tu, for those with a very generous heart. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam, the whole earth is a family. Alright, so that's the source of that particular shloka that we talk about. Moving on, people with Asuri nature also tend to have a sense of social superiority or toxic pride. So what are the kind of statements they will make? Adhyo bhi janavan asmi, konyosti sadrisho maya. It says, I am wealthy and high-born. Who else is equal to me? Yakshye dasyami modishya ityajnana vimohitaha. So what is he saying? I will sacrifice, I will give charity, I will rejoice. Even their good deeds are driven by their ego. Okay, all of us know such kind of people in our environment as well. What is important is to ensure that we do not fall in that category. And why should we take that simple effort of not falling in that category? Because eventually it is harmful for our own internal growth, says the Gita and many other texts. Alright, so the whole invitation here is to try and cultivate as much as we can the Daivi Sampat qualities as well as the Asuri Sampat qualities should be rejected from our nature. So these are the three gates to hell and the root cause of all ruin. It says Trividham Narakasyedam Dwaram Nasham Anatmanaha Kamaha Krodhaha Tatha Mohaha Tasmad Etat Trayam Tyajet. So what does he say? He says that kama or desire for what one does not have, krodha or reaction when desire is obstructed, and lobha or attachment to what one has. These three destroy the self. They must be abandoned. Where can we apply the concepts of Daivi and Asuri Sampat? In the context of mental health, we see that it reduces anxiety by curbing dushpura kama or insatiable desire. In the context of leadership, it can help cultivate tejas and dana for ethical management. Tejas means this brilliance of clarity and brightness, and dana, more generosity in sharing also in different work scenarios. Education replacing competition, which is an Asuri experience, or it's more about me, I have to be the best, I have to be everywhere, with Swadhyaya and Tapaha. So the more self-study as well as the study of text we will do, the more we will get a broader perspective of the desirable directions in life for oneself. And Tapaha is required in order to help us attain those tough situations. All of us acknowledge that we have all these qualities. It's not that, somebody is free and somebody else has it. It's a matter of different proportions. It's a matter of how we have worked them out in our lives. But one cannot fully say that we are completely, without any of these qualities that are described here. So the mother says, in fact, she says that if you can recognize something in someone else, it means it must exist in you in some form or the other. So how do you take it out from the root? And you will also see that a lot of these, especially the Asuri qualities, are connected to the ego self. So the more we get encrusted around the ego, the image of oneself and one ego being, the more one will get caught in the traps of these particular kind of vices or the Asuri Sampat. And then he says education, in this we should replace, as I've said, the Asuri tendencies with Swadhyaya and Tapas. In conflict resolution context, we use much more kshama or forgiveness to de-escalate hostility. And then when it comes for recruitment and all, you have more integrity in your selection over just skill. So you need to have integrity in organization. So different kinds of applications. But what I will recommend that all of you do is that once this lecture is over, you look back on all those qualities and then you see for yourself which are the ones that you feel are existing already in you, which are the ones that you would like to cultivate further. Once that question comes up, then the next question will be how does one cultivate these qualities, etc., etc. If you identify the negative ones, then try and understand the source, from where are they coming. And if you want to start letting go of those viruses that affect the functioning of your systems, then where do you start? How do you not become judgmental about yourself and harsh with yourself, but be an observer, be the Sakshi Bhava that says, okay, this trigger happened, this is what I felt. Is there something that I can do about it the next time it happens, or even after it has happened? Think about how could I have behaved alternatively. So give yourselves the opportunity to find alternative pathways of reacting in the Asuri manner. All right. So let's look at some comparisons with Western psychology, some cross-cultural perspectives. So positive psychology talks about the Daivi traits, which are parallel to Seligman's VIA classification of strengths. So positive psychology, as you're all aware, is talking about the fact that, it's these positive qualities, virtues, values that actually drive human nature and human activities. It's an extension or the further development of the humanism school that we've seen already. The dark triad. So the Asuri traits, they mirror narcissism, Machiavellianism and psychopathy. So when it goes to an extreme, the egocentric behavior can literally get into psychopathic behavior. And then with humanistic psychology, the Daivi aligns with Maslow's self-actualization because it's really about trying to become the best that you can. With CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, we identify Asuri cognitive distortions like asatyam worldviews. So what are these distortions that are there in our systems? And finally, the difference with Indian systems is that it emphasizes on transcendence of the ego, not just an adjustment. And that is possible within the Indic worldview because we have another center of being, which is our inner, deeper self. And we are not bound by the fabricated ego nature that is seeking attention and is insecure very often. So how do we make that shift within? That is the question. And how do we also cultivate these qualities and reject those that are not suited for us? Summary of key ideas. So as you can see that human nature is a spectrum between divine and demonic. So the Daivi Sampat, it liberates based on truth, restraint and compassion, whereas Asuri Sampat binds based on ego, greed and anger. The goal of Indian psychology is the transformation of nature. Avoiding the 3 gates of hell, as we saw, is the first step to mental health. What is an exercise? So Swadhyaya for you. So we'll do a Sampat audit to see what are the qualities that are there and not there. So for the next 3 days, you can try to record your dominant emotional state every 4 hours. That might or might not be possible, but it is definitely in Indian psychology and in the practices of mindfulness, etc., that are being practiced by several across the world. The idea is to not only become conscious every 3-4 hours, but actually start becoming conscious of every movement within ourselves. The good, the bad, the responses, the reactions. Just start becoming a little more self-aware. And for that, start cultivating this ability of the Sakshi Bhava, who can witness whatever is happening in their life without necessarily getting judgmental about it. So we need to categorize each of the Daivi Sampats like Dhriti, etc., and the Asuri Sampats like Krodha, and see which of the gates of hell like Kama, Krodha, or Lobha is your biggest block, and then try and select one Daivi trait to consciously practice on it tomorrow or as soon as you can. So see which one resonates and see what it entails. It's quite an experience, but it's worth doing. Glossary for you. Some references. And finally, for some food for thought, Swami Vivekananda says, teach yourselves, teach everyone his real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. So with these words, I'll allow you to rest and look at the different qualities that we have talked about, positive and negative, Daivi and Asuri, and enjoy the game of discovering what they really mean, not just conceptually, but in practice. These words, Dhanyavada, and see you again.